Hello, everybody. Warm welcome. Thank you very much for joining us here. Oh, it gets dark in the moment I say something. But nice to see you all. So I think we can see you. It's once again one of the open discussions. So also Q&A, also meet the expert, also panelists. So everything I think is possible. The topic we are focusing today is what only shorts can do. So there is a clear thing, a clear question. And I'm happy to do this session together with the European Film Academy. It's a good tradition. Thank you very much for joining and teaming up with us again with this topic. And I will briefly introduce you to the ones here on stage. So because after this, floor is up to them. To the right, we have JUKKA-PEKKA LAAKSO. You've been here for quite many times already, but it's good to have you back. JUKKA-PEKKA is coming from the Tampere Film Festival. He's the director of it, but he also distributes film. He also has professions and also other directions towards short films, so feel invited to go also into these directions. Then to the far left, we have Kathleen McInnes. Thank you very much. She also is very much an expert in film publicity and festival strategies with your company, See Through Films, and also a shorts programmer in quite some festivals. So I think Toronto is the one to name, and also, of course, Hot Dogs in Canada, but there are some more. And the lady in the middle, thank you very much for joining us, although you're very, very busy, is Maike.
Same goes to you.
Same to me, same to you, but Maike just came from Berlinale Shorts, and she is the curator of Berlinale Shorts, and the three will just be there here for 1 hour, and then as announced previously, we have the Meet the Expert session right afterwards, here in the very same floor on the nice little chairs. And oops, I'll leave this paper to you so that you can name them later on again, but we will have more people. Come on. It's Madeleine Bernstorff from Oberhausen, she's also here, great. John Cantiani from the Kurzfilmtage Winterthur, JUKKA-PEKKA is going to be there, Kathleen is going to be there, and last but very not least, two very nice colleagues, I'm very happy to have you here, Sarah Schlüssel and Carlotta Löffelholz, our dear friends and colleagues from Berlinale Shorts. So without any further ado, I grab my papers and wish you a really good talk. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Actually, Madeleine, are you here? I didn't see you. Madeleine, are you here? So perhaps she come in later. She's from Oberhausen Film Festival. What only shorts can do? Is there something only shorts can do? What do you think? Mister, you are here for the fourth time. You are a real expert.
A real expert on something.
How long do you run the Tampere Film Festival?
I think it's something like 13 or 14 years now. So maybe I'm expert on something, but I still feel that I'm learning a lot every year about shorts, about cinema and everything. I think that what only shorts can do in a way is give you freedom, because a lot of film world is actually tied with commercial and other interests. If you want to make it sort of big, you have to make a film which is around 90 minutes long, 3 hours if you are Quentin Tarantino, and if you are a documentary filmmaker, you have to do several edits for different TV requirements. But shorts can give you freedom to express whatever there are to express in cinematic form. And in a way, I actually think that shorts can also give you freedom from let's say, the requirements of narrative. Because you can do shorts if you are under 15 minutes without really a narrative structure. After that, you have to consider a little bit more on this, but it's if you compare it to literature, you are not bound to the restrictions of a novel. You can make a short story, you can make a poem and an essay or whatever. So it's freedom that only shorts have, in my mind.
On your mind?
Okay, so it's that, what he said.
We all agree.
And I think I'm gonna say, I think the same thing in a slightly different way. It's the last great place where you can and should take the risks that really give voice to who you are as a filmmaker. Whether you're an emerging filmmaker, an established filmmaker, it is the place where you are not bound by compromise due to financial necessarily, or compromise due to studios, or market restrictions, or anything. It's the place where you really, it's the last best place where you can put the filmmaker voice up front and take the risks that are necessary to define you as a filmmaker, to continue to define you as you continue your career. And it's at the place also, I think, where you work that muscle. You continue to keep your abilities and your talents growing and stretching much more so than you do on a feature or a documentary once you've gotten into the system, which kind of conspires to not let you do that. So yeah, that's what I think only shorts can do.
I mean, Europe has kind of long tradition of short film festivals as well. You're living in the US. How is it there? How came that you hooked on shorts?
We have a very short attention span in the US, so we really love. I'm really teasing.
Yeah, you're here.
Really teasing. So I was a festival director at Palm Springs I was there for 12 years. Now I'm at Toronto and Hot Docs. Shorts in the US have a good solid footing in the world of being used as calling cards. So a lot of American filmmakers use them as calling cards. A small number of established American filmmakers like to go back to shorts to continue to work in the way that they like to work without the demands of an infrastructure changing what they want. My focus is world cinema, so everything outside of the US. I like I'm sorry to every US filmmaker in here, but I really like what everybody else does. But US film and US filmmakers traditionally have a great many resources at their fingertips. World cinema has a little bit of a harder time getting out, so which is why I like to focus on them. It's a healthy place for shorts. There is a market for shorts worldwide. Out of Canada, there's more distributors than there are out of America, but it's there. So yeah, I would say it's a good place.
Is there like, for example, in LA, do you have a cinema where I can go to watch shorts weekly, a row, something like that?
It's not that good.
Okay, sorry.
No, wouldn't that be great? And,
Yeah,
and
it would be
certainly
great.
the American Cinematheque in LA does do special short screening. There's always a package of shorts somewhere. There's always a thematic program. But is there a place where on the calendar every Thursday you have shorts? No, but we can dream.
Do you have something like that in Tampere or in Helsinki?
Not in Helsinki, but in Tampere, because I work also for a cinema. So we try, and every now and then we have short nights, special, maybe even a day, the shortest day of the year, as it's the short day in Europe. So we take part on that, and on that day you can see a lot of short films in our cinema, and also throughout the years, every now and then. But the thing is that we haven't yet found the way to actually get good audiences. It's not easy in Finland.
I was about to ask you, is there an audience for short films? I mean, your festival is great, it's big, it's been running since beginning of 70s?
Actually
80s?
the first ones, 1970. Yeah.
1970, yeah. So, I mean, there is an audience for shorts, at least for the festival time?
Yeah, the thing is that I think now the thing has changed in the cinemas very much, is that everywhere in the world the festivals have really taken the part as the place to show alternative films, the films that usually don't do good in cinemas and you can't see them, but festivals have a great attendance, like here in Berlin of course, but also with us we got quite packed houses in Tampere, and that is good. But the thing is that when you see films on festivals, you're actually sort of reaching the people who are already believers. And the challenge, I think, is that what we try to do every now and then, for instance, put a short film in front of a feature film, so that people could see that something they did not know that existed in the world of cinema. Because that is also a surprise for a lot of people. They don't understand that these short films exist.
Yeah, I think I would like to ask the audience this quick question. I mean, how many shorts do you watch a week? I mean, I guess all of you are aspiring filmmakers or somehow want to be a part of the industry. So how many shorts do you watch a week, a month? Are there, like, here's someone watching?
I watch
12.
5 to 10 shorts a week. How many of you watch 5 to 10 shorts a week?
Wow.
How many of you watch more, much more than 5 to 10 shorts a week?
Okay, at least 1, 2, 3. So that's good because this is, as we understood, and as the way we understand, I guess, and in this we all agree, yes, it's the short form is kind of a seismographic, tool to understand how society functions, what is ruling, what is happening, because shorts don't need so much money, so you are able to produce it much faster, you are able to go into the zeitgeist. And
well, and I think you have to, we talked about this before, you as filmmakers, emerging or not, you must know what other filmmakers are doing. You're all each other's peers. You need to know what else is out there, you need to know what's come before, you need to understand the landscape and language of the cinematic structure at the time, at the moment. You need to be watching what's out there for the zeitgeist and for yourself, I think.
Yeah, because the thing is that what I really like in my work as being forced to watch hundreds, even thousands of films every year, is that I learn a lot about the world that the news, for instance, is not telling. So you get a much deeper, much a diverse window to the world, which is very healthy because, well, the news don't tell you everything. They only touch the surface of things. So looking films from all over the world, like you also said, that other than your own country, it's very, very refreshing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, of course, when it comes to shorts, it is the place where you can take risks, where you have the liberty. So you also have people who, they try new things in the cinematic language. They try to do things, and sometimes they fail, actually more or less, they usually fail. But at the same time, when you watch these short films and you see that, okay, I like that idea, it isn't perfect, but maybe I can use that. And you learn much more than watching feature films, which basically in all over the world, they still are coming from the same factory, more or less. There are exceptions, of course. But shorts is a very, very diverse world, and you can learn a lot, but you have to watch a lot of them, of course.
But has there ever been a moment, please be honest, because I mean, with shorts you won't make much money. No, you will never ever drive a Porsche, I guess, or I don't know anyone driving a Porsche, working in the shorts business. Was there a moment you wanted to leave this business, this short film scene, and you know, like to continue with feature length, the real films thing, or?
Not really that. I never sort of thought that I want to leave the world of shorts and move to features or something else. Every year, the last 2 weeks before we finish the selection, I want to leave the film world totally and get a life for myself. But that's another matter. But the thing is that I still have my other foot in what could be called, it's not really, but could be called the film business, because I also work for a cinema and we do some distribution on feature-length documentaries and some fiction films. So I also see that world, but I actually enjoy the short film world much more than the features, because it's also much more fun. I like the young people more than those cynical people who work for documentaries and feature films who
sometimes
are
pretty familiar to you. Huh? Yeah, we know each other for many years. He's also kind of cynical. What is your second leg? Is there a second leg, or?
Well, I mean, I too love shorts. Our focus is emerging filmmakers. So short filmmakers, first and second time feature documentary filmmakers, simply for the reason that I'm much more interested. I'm much more interested in those stories that haven't been abridged or compromised by being in the system. And quite honestly, once they're in the system, they don't need me anymore. I like to be needed. I like to be useful. So I like to be part of that process, that creative process along the way. So for me, for the company...
Kind of a mothering process, isn't it?
Yeah, I have 3,000 kids. Instead of my own, I have all my filmmakers. And
But it is like this, no? You are needed and you're helped to... I mean, it's
to
a good
be-
position. I like it.
To be honest, yeah. I mean, it's not. I'm not driving the Porsche. That's for sure. And you
But
do.
you're still living in LA with a wonderful view. And sea.
But people
Yeah,
shouldn't
we'll
be
talk.
driving
We'll talk about
Porsches.
that later. But you know, it's true. It's like this is really hard. What you guys do, what we do, all of us do. It's really hard. And okay, first world problem hard, but still really hard. And quite honestly, if we could do something else, we'd make a hell of a lot more money. Our heads would not be mush after watching 2,000 shorts. We would have better relationships with our partners. Maybe that's just me. But you do it because it feeds something in you, right? It feeds something, whether it's a creative or whether it's because I like to be useful and I like to be part of somebody's process and help them. It has to be there, otherwise we would all go be dentists.
Was there like a first short film or something that, you know, like one movie that really stayed
Yeah.
for you for a long time? What was it?
So when I was very little, very, very little, I loved commercials. I would get up from the table and go watch the commercials while we were eating dinner, which is very bizarre. When I got to be an adult and I realized there was other reasons for, you know, wanting to watch the commercials, there's a short film called The Coriolis Effect, which was in Sundance in maybe 1990 that I saw there. And this film stuck with me very much. Very short film, very crazy idea, and just really well executed. And I've never forgotten that film, and that film really sort of started a dialogue and a process that moved through my career. So I would say to those guys who made The Coriolis Effect, thank you. I have a career.
Did you follow them?
Yeah, no, they're not really interested in me. They didn't know how much they meant to me. It was a very uneven relationship. Yeah.
Your film, do you have something that made you staying in this?
Yeah, there's one film. It probably is one of the first films ever that I saw at Tampere Film Festival when I was just a spectator there long time ago, and it was.
Is it the one from 1991?
Not that one. There's another film that's important to me also, but I think that really started for me that wow, short films are really something. It's made in ex-Yugoslavia, and the name of the film is Mallet. And to all Croatian people, sorry, I can't remember. I think it was Ilic was the name of the director. So this was a very meaningful film for me, and there's a funny story because Aki Kaurismäki, you probably heard of, the Finnish director. Now for several years, every 2 years, he calls me and asks that, what was the name of that film again? Because he also includes that film to his carte blanche programs that he's doing. Because he was actually working for Tampere Film Festival about that time for 1 year. And it's stuck to his mind and it's stuck to my mind also. And then there is actually one more film which the director of that film has a film now here in Panorama. And his name is Tobias Nölle. And I remember when I saw the film and it was about I think it was 30 minutes long. And it was the case, really rare case, where if you just watch the first 10 minutes, you are kind of lost. It's going into several directions. So it doesn't have a hook every 2 minutes in it. And you have to watch it, and you really have to watch it carefully. And then in the end, everything comes together. And this is also something that I like, that somebody is still capable of making this kind of films instead of those films that many film schools teach, that you have to have a hook every 2 minutes or 90 seconds, or maybe it's nowadays it's every 30 seconds to tell that there's more. So
what was the title of the film, the short film? Do you remember, from Tobias?
René.
Sorry?
René.
René.
Yeah, because it's in Swedish, so it's René, but it's they pronounce it René.
It's
You
true,
remember
the Swiss
that? Yeah.
people talk like a little
Yeah.
different German. But we try to understand them, and they have really, I mean, via film, I guess, no, somehow. Yeah, that's what we try to do. Oder?
And there's really, because this film, I was glad to be in a jury where it got a prize, and another jury it got a prize, and then it was selected to Tampere, and it won a prize also in Tampere. And I know that this prize is also meant a lot to his career, so I hope to meet him actually tomorrow. No, is it tonight? Tonight, yeah.
Ah, super. I just had a question on mine, but I forgot it. I think what I would, of course, Roy Andersson is something that you presented once, this film of Roy, twice, but not only here, but because it meant so much to me. And for me, it was really, I had never seen it before, and you made me see this film. That was a film that stuck to me, for example. What's the title? I forgot.
World of Glory.
World of Glory.
Härlig är jorden på svenska.
Yeah, and it was part of this, you might know about these kind of compilation films, but it's the only film that stayed through history, I guess, because it was shot in 91,
Yeah.
1991.
And it's really the film where Roy Andersson presented his style that he has continued in his other films. And the thing is that if you look Roy Andersson, for instance, and you see this short film, and then you see his feature films, which have been quite successful, but you realize that his style actually works best in films that are about 20 minutes long.
Did you ever discuss this with Roy Andersson?
No, I met him only once, I think. And I think I just sort of told him how much I appreciate his work, but I haven't met him since. And it's not nice to say someone that after 91 your films suck.
No. I would like to show the audience, we have a few films prepared just to give you an idea of what we do. And it's like a 5-minute show of short films, and we're going to start...
Parts of
Parts,
short.
yes. Parts, only parts, because it's enough. There's a whole film festival in our back where you can watch more films, just to give you an impression. We start like with then the Peacock Film Clip, and then the Grand Carrera. Jukka, where did you see the film first? La Grand Carrera.
To be honest, I can't remember where I saw it first.
It was like submitted for Tampere?
It was submitted to us, but I can't remember if I saw it like the normal way, middle of the night at home, watching one film after the other and getting the shock. It could be that I did just that, but I've seen it many times afterwards at some festivals and some special programs, because it's a true short film, because first of all, it leads you into something that you think that you know, okay, this is documentary from past, and so what is happening, and then it gives you a shock, and then first, like here, there's like there's laughter, but then it's kind of a, what I'm laughing at, there are people hang there, and then it proceeds. You probably want to see how it ends. It doesn't go on for a long time. It's a true short film based on one great idea, and it also executed it in a very, very intelligent, good way.
No pun intended.
No. So I can't remember really, but it still makes me, impression every time.
I would call it the found footage genre, if you want so.
You can call it whatever you want.
In a very different way.
Yeah, because the thing is that a lot of the footage is actually on one shot just before the horses start. There's actually the director is also there, and he got all his friends as extras to some of these shots. So the footage that is old is quite seamlessly put together with new footage. And that is also that you wonder where the seams actually are. So that's the expertise of filmmaking here, because you don't know where new footage starts and the old ends. And that's why I also think that it's, when it comes to filmmaking, it's excellent.
It's a craft,
work.
yes.
Yeah.
Can I ask, what year is this?
It's something like
Was it?
6-7 years ago.
Yes.
And so what happened to the director after that? What did he go?
Well, the thing is that you actually see that the first shock, but then, you know, people are killed, but the race goes on.
But the director of the film is
The
director's
director,
work,
he has made short films after that, and I've seen them, and he has submitted them to us. They've been sort of shortlisted, but unfortunately never been selected yet. So he's still making films. I met him, I think, last time a couple of years ago.
And the Peacock People. What are they doing?
The Peacock People. So Peacock was premiered in Karlovy Vary last summer and then came to us at Toronto. They just played at Sundance, continuing their route. Part of why I like it so much is it's a very painted film. The color, the tapestry, the filling of the frame, the story, the voice of God, which I usually am not a fan of, but I like very much in this one. All the elements worked really well for me, and it's very densely packed in terms of trying to make sure that they hit all the marks that they wanted to hit. And I think that's what other programmers are seeing as well in terms of looking at them as emerging filmmakers.
Because on the other hand, it's not that short filmmakers invent a new world in terms of storytelling. I mean, the story has been told so many times. I mean, we've all been working many years now in the business, so for me sometimes it feels like I mean, the stories I've seen.
Yes.
So what I haven't seen is the different approach.
Exactly.
So
And
that's...
the thing is that I think that this is a very good film in the genre which is the most difficult, I think, for filmmakers, which is to make an erotic film. And I mean erotic film. I don't mean a porn film. We see enough sex on screens, but I mean real erotism, and that's there, you know, in big time in my mind. Even to make clear that I, as a straight man, I even look at it as an erotic film. So.
Yeah, which is always possible. I mean, if it's erotic, it's erotic.
Erotic is erotic. It doesn't matter. Yeah, that's true. But also, too, I think that I just had something brilliant to say about this film. Erotic started with erotic. Here it comes. No, I don't. So many bad jokes all of a sudden in my head. I can't get rid of them. But I guess one of the things that I would say too is that there's a sense of epic, there's a sense of landscape and vastness and quality that seems almost like an epic style film in a 30-minute short, which for us in North America is quite long actually, but this was an exception to the rule of when we look at 30-minute shorts and we start to cry, a little tear comes out of our eye. It didn't happen here. So it's that epic sense, that landscape quality, that big kind of larger than life feel to it.
And Maike, your choice was...
Yeah, mine is, it's called it's a thriller. It's an experimental film. It's made by Billy Royce. She's doing and working with short form for more than 15, 17 years. She's also a musician. So she is really working in an analog sense, trying to combine sound and image, and is working a lot with the lines. And it's this film is made because she and her husband, they were men, sorry, they're not married. I got corrected on stage. So the couple watched a lot of horror movies at nighttime, just, you know, and then they started to think, oh, how, you know, like, what's the essence of horror movies? What is it? What it's talking about? And that's the reason why it's called because it's, you can never grab this real moment of what's a horror something.
But so amazingly effective in the opening sequence with the clouds.
Yes, that's it.
I'm like, don't look, because I'm sure something's going to jump off the screen and scare you to death.
Yes.
And then you have this respite when you start to get to the what seems to be a playground or whatever. You're like, that sound design is toying with me, and I'm completely letting it. It's very successful.
And it's also the kind of film which is maybe the most disturbing is when you actually have a film that it seems a little bit familiar because of your nightmares. And if you try to reach that kind of atmosphere, you actually, at least for me, you have to do things which are almost abstract. And it's kind of scary when you know that someone actually touches something which is totally yours in your head. And that's what those films that are called experimental for some reason, that's what they do.
I think what shorts do to me, or the form does to me also, if we go back into the selection process, is really, on the one hand, I and my team, we have to make sure that we are really open, which is not always easy, because as anyone can make films and submit films, we get to see a lot of films. So sometimes it's really hard. I don't know, I guess same to you, that after 3 days of walking through the muds of something which is called film, but it's something that you can play for your friends, but not obviously in an A film festival or submitted, but anyway, it's possible. So we get these films, and the difficult and the interesting moment also is like to open up again and to watch every single film as a film. You know what I mean? So, and then to go through these stories, and especially because we talk about, I mean, Billy Royce is no longer young and emerging. She is an established filmmaker and artist, but still a lot of young filmmakers coming up with these kind of same stories. So also accepting that it's again and again this love, the first love thing, and find the moment where you think, but here's something, you know.
But this is a perfect example, too, of what we talked before about, short films are not the bastion of emerging filmmakers. Short films are the place where you go to experiment, to try, to push, to test that limit, to see what the boundaries look like and if you can move them a little. And that's a perfect example of it. She's been doing this for nearly 20 years. And that scared the you-know-what out of me.
I like that.
Yeah.
But you agree, this when you're sitting there in the dark and watching that, and it's the interesting moment as well, I guess, for us as programmers to ask yourself, where are your limits? What is something you don't accept,
right?
And
absolutely.
why?
Well, and also too, we have to represent two things, right? We represent our audience, which in theory we know because we program at that festival, and we are trying to cover all the ground that audience may enjoy, or that they may need to see that they don't know they need to see. There's many things that go into the audience. But we're also we devour film. We're film consumers, film lovers. It has to touch us as well. I imagine for you it's the same. There has to have an emotional veracity of some kind to it. So you've got to hit our gut as we're watching these films. So when it does come and it hits us full on, and it's done it after we've watched 1,500 of the other kind of shorts that haven't done it, it's quite powerful. So you have to remain open so that you can feel that when it does finally show up, I think.
Yeah, for instance, with us, when we make the final decision, decide what actually is in the competition, I have felt for a long time that you always need to have in the final team to have fresh eyes, those people who haven't wasted their life for 15 years watching all these short films. Of course, for me, I consider myself as an expert on that, and I like it, but the thing is that you need also other points of view. So, for instance, with us, it's really, there's usually 3 people, and we discuss the films together, try to see them also not with your eyes, but their eyes, and I think that makes our selection much better than just my idiosyncrasies.
Well, I think we do the same thing as well, is that none of us have the hand of God, so to speak. We have to agree. And what this leads to, for us at Toronto especially, well, even at Hot Docs, I have to say, we fight for the films that we believe. Like, we fight, you guys. It's not passive, it's not quiet, at least not in our offices. We are fighting for the films that we believe in, and really fighting so that our films have a spot. We don't always win, of course. Maybe we win more than we don't win, but...
We actually also combine it that each of us has a limited hand of God, so we can get some of the films that, you know, just our special, hang-ups or whatever, they also can be there, but mostly we have to sort of, we do together. So that's how we do that. So it's I think that we have sort of thinking about the process a lot, because we want the screenings to be representing all sides of filmmaking.
And do you also feel, for me, if I'm in your seat right now and I'm listening to this, what this also says to me, and I hope that you can come away with this sincerely, rejection actually doesn't have anything to do with you at that stage.
No.
We know these films are good. We know you're good. It has everything to do with many things that you have no control over, maybe. Yeah. But it doesn't have anything to do, your rejection from a festival does not, for the most part, have anything to do with reflecting who you are as a filmmaker.
No, and not even the films, because I know it sounds so lame when I have to tell people that not all the films that are good enough for the competition are there, because not every good film can just fit in the 850 minutes that we have of screening time. And the selection is never that we don't put that, okay, these are the best films. The selection is our point of view of what is interesting and important in the field of filmmaking, short filmmaking at the moment. When it comes to styles, you need to have you try to get the whole world and not just the Eurocentric world there. So it's not, we are not the jury. The jury is a different thing. We are programmers, curators, whatever.
I would like to finish our session with just give you 2 quick movies, which are music videos, and just to give you an idea about how far you can actually go, and what we, I guess, all love if you go so far. It's 2 music videos. We're going to see just the first 30 seconds of each. It's enough to understand what they do. It's one of the most famous bands of Germany at the moment, Deichkind, and the filmmakers and the video makers are from an art school, and have been won in Oberhausen many times for the music videos they did. And yeah, we start with Leider Geil, and after that, Like mich am Arsch. You can do everything you want in shorts and in music. Thanks for your attention. I guess we open up the panel for the experts. So I asked on stage Mr. Canciani from Winter Tour. He's director, artistic director from Kurzfilmtage Winterthur, very important and the only and most biggest one in Switzerland, but also for Europe it's a very important one next to yours. Please, my assistant Sarah and Carlotta, they run with us the short film section and they'll be here for you. And Madeleine. You're not Madeleine? James, yeah, I didn't see you. Yeah, sorry. James, and where's Madeleine? Is she here or not? Huh? What is yet?
Yet is now.
Okay. So if you want to talk to people who are in charge of important film festivals, who make your career go further, come down.
Yeah, and I think that we do sort of small discussion groups that we can talk more personally, and you just pick.
But
one
apparently, apparently it's
Madeleine.
like
Hey, great! I asked for you 3 times. Hey, super.
and apparently it's a little bit like a competition. So pick me.
Thank you very much.